Good afternoon. I'm Pamela Smith, the Chief of Police of the Metropolitan Police Department here in Washington, D.C. We're here today to announce an arrest in a murder that occurred last year. This is an example of how we are using every available tool and investigative technique to bring to justice the families of victims and consequences to perpetrators. This investigation took over 8 months of diligence and dedication on the part of our homicide detectives, which brought this case to this point. I'll turn it over to Assistant Chief Leslie Parson, who oversees our Investigative Services Bureau, to provide you with additional information on what brought us to this investigation at this point.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Leslie Parsons. I am the Assistant Chief of the Investigative Services Bureau for the Metropolitan Police Department. Since last July, our homicide detectives have been pouring through evidence to bring those perpetrators to justice that took the life of 31-year-old Nasrat Ahmed Yar. Nasrat was working as a Lyft driver in the early morning hours of Monday, July 3rd, 2023. He was working extremely hard to support his family. He had just dropped off a passenger and was sitting in his vehicle when he was approached by several young suspects. It appears through our investigation that these suspects may have been trying to take his vehicle. During that interaction, one of the suspects shot Nasrat. They then fled from the scene, running through an alley, where they were captured by surveillance video that was instrumental in solving this case. We released that video and called on our community for help. Thanks to some tips and some diligent work on behalf of our detectives, they narrowed in on a 15-year-old male from Northeast as the primary suspect. Yesterday, in partnership with the Office of Attorney General, a D.C. Superior Court custody order was signed for that 15-year-old. He was arrested by the Capital Area Regional Fugitive Task Force earlier this morning, and he's been charged with felony murder while armed. There are still several outstanding suspects who were involved in this tragedy, and we encourage anyone with information on those suspects to come forward. The reckless actions of these teens cost a man's life and shattered a family just starting out on their journey in this country. No arrest will be able to make them whole, but today's news sends a message loud and clear to those looking to introduce guns on our streets. Our detectives do not rest until the reckless actions like this are met with severe consequences. I'll now turn it back over to Chief Smith.
I just want to take a few moments just to speak to the community. I want to tell the community, first of all, thank you for your support. Thank you for providing information to bring us to this point with respect to the closure in this case. I said to you last year, everything that we do, everything we set out to do as an agency, we want to do it with your input. And I heard you, and I hear you loud and clear. I want you to know that we are also turning trends with regards to our crime. Our crime is down right now, nearly in every category year to date, including our shootings and our carjackings. And we are doing everything we can to work with our youth. And I'm in regular contact with our schools and our youth leaders to make sure that we are intervening before another child gets to this path or this point. We are also working to expand our CCTV network and make cameras more accessible to our residents. We are listening to you, and we are more present in our communities than we've ever been. We will now take a few questions about this case.
You mentioned how instrumental the surveillance video was. Did someone recognize the person through that video, and how many leads came in?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I can't get into the specifics of that case because it is still an active investigation and we don't want to jeopardize the prosecution of this case. But what I can tell you is video is invaluable to our detectives every day when it comes to solving crimes. And in this case, as I'm sure you're aware, we did release some surveillance video, and that video did help us advance the case, and we thank the community for the tips they provided. But as far as the specifics, I wouldn't be able to get into them right now.
And how many do we think you guys are still searching for? How many other?
So I would say at this time we are still searching for several other suspects. I'm hesitant to give you a number because the investigation is still ongoing.
This may be along similar lines, but can you confirm that he is one of the boys we see in that video?
I wouldn't be able to confirm that to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Sorry. Have you been in touch with the family of Ahmed Yar? Did you notify the family?
So our detectives do notify the next of kin of an arrest when we have a closure in a homicide case.
What was their reaction?
have not spoke to the family nor the detective, so I wouldn't be able to comment.
And do we know the history of this 15-year-old? Has he been arrested?
I wouldn't be able to comment to the history of the juvenile.
Can either of you comment? I know every case matters to you, but here you have a guy who's helped the U.S. military in Afghanistan, comes back only to be killed, unfortunately, on the streets of D.C. after he had served this country, fled the Taliban. I mean, does that affect you emotionally at all as you do this case? I mean, do you want to comment on just the fact this guy, he really helped the United States?
Right, and I think, I mean, and not to isolate any person who has been a victim of a crime, but I think we take personally every single victim, whether it's a homicide case or whether it's a assault with a deadly weapon or any shooting or any incident that occurs across the District of Columbia. And I will tell you, I take it sometimes very personally. And again, here was a man starting out in the United States. He served the country, and our condolences since July of last year. We've extended our condolences to the family. But what I will say is that we are intentional about every single case that comes across our investigators' desk, our homicide branch, and we work very diligently. This took us 8 months, and what we want to always make sure is that we have all of the investigative tools and everything that we need to bring these folks to justice. Okay? Thank you.